Gavel, but I think everybody can hear me. So we're going to call the meeting to order. We're going to go ahead and have Councilman Byrd do the invocation, and then we'll move right into the Cherokee Warrior Awards.
Let us pray. Ida dado lista. Ogi doda galandi he, ogi stelis katis. Kohisa hayek do jozat loski steli do heste do zuktani do. Agaia ni do not the access do heste, oster do zuktani do heste, and the ayan all escudini yotu not stesto. Dear most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening to take care of the business of the Cherokee people. Guide and lead us as we make decisions tonight. Be with our leaders, and just thank you for the veterans and be with their families throughout. And we just ask you for your guidance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Tonight we're honoring 4 veterans, and if Councilors Jordan, Byrd, and Walking Stick would come up, please, and help with this. First veteran we have tonight is a gentleman named Isaac Christie, and I talked to him outside. So Isaac, would you come down and let us honor you, sir? Let's give him. Okay. Mr. Christie was born in 1934 in Welling, Oklahoma. He graduated from Cave Springs High School. He attended Modesto Junior College in California, Northeastern Teachers College in Tahlequah, graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree in Education and a Master's degree in Elementary Education. In 1954, Isaac enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. He received his basic training at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas, and was sent to Cheyenne, Wyoming for specialty training. His overseas assignments include Tripoli, Libya, and North Africa. He received an honorable discharge in 1957. Isaac retired from Indian Health Service in 1997, and he and his wife Bobby live in Welling, Oklahoma. And sir, I want to thank you for the service to this country. Like me then, okay, I'll be glad.
Got to smile first.
Oh, you want to make me smile first?
Well, this is an honor that you've earned, not something that is given. And here's a brick that you can put in our Warriors Memorial. So if you'll fill that out, return it, and then here's a plaque for you all. Now it's time for you to give a speech.
Well, what would you like to hear?
Have to give a speech, they don't want to hear that.
Well, Isaac, we appreciate you. Bobby, you've truly made the Cherokee Nation proud, and both of you worked so hard for the nation all these years. God bless you.
I'm going to hop around a little bit so we can no, maybe not, Joe, I'm wrong. So it's, yeah, you're done.
Yeah. Got a couple of Kenwoods.
That's the only time I messed up, Joe, I guess. Now if Councilors Fish and Hawk, Hargis, and Snell would come down, please. The next gentleman, the next veteran we want to honor tonight is Joe Grayson. Joe, would you come down? Joe was born in Stillwell, Oklahoma in the Greasy community. He is the son of the late John and Pauline Grayson. He graduated from Cave Springs High School in May of 1968 and enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. Joe attended basic training at Lackland Air Force Base in Texas. From there, he went to Chanute Air Force Base in Illinois to train as a fire protection specialist. He was sent to South Korea for 13 months and finished his tour at Little Rock Air Force Base in Arkansas. He was honorably discharged in December of 1974. After receiving his discharge, he and his wife, Diana, lived in Tulsa, and he worked the next 15 years at McElroy Manufacturing. He moved back to Stillwell and worked for 10 years with Cherokee Nation's food distribution program. He is retired now but stays actively involved in the Cherokee community, both as a certified Cherokee language teacher and as a minister. And Joe, I want to thank you for your service to this great country. Thank you, sir.
Councilman, are you getting
Certificate for breaking. By your wall. Would you like to say?
I just thank everybody for this special moment. But
Our next veteran is a gentleman named Woodrow Ross. Woodrow, would you come down? Woodrow was born August the 17th, 1930 at Kenwood, Oklahoma to Joseph Ross and Takey Wycliffe Ross. He attended school at Kenwood. In February of 1952, he enlisted in the Army. Woodrow served with the 24th Division, 34th Infantry Regiment in Japan and Korea. He was honorably discharged in 1953. When he returned home, he went to work in Tulsa as a heavy equipment operator for 6 years and then worked at Dan Hughes Machine Works. He moved back to Kenwood and worked for the Cherokee Nation for 14 years. He retired in 1996 and in 1998 began pastoring churches in the Kenwood area for 20 years. He retired in 2010. And I want to thank you, sir, for your service to this great country.
Cherokee Nation for giving us this to me, make me remember, and that they appreciated us for serving in the service, and I was glad to do my part in the service. I love what I did. Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, he's also.
Is he from Kenwood? Buddy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the last veteran we have tonight is Buddy Ross, and he is the nephew of Woodrow. Come down, Buddy. Buddy Ross is the son of Foreman and the late Emma Ross. He was born in 1964 at Pryor, Oklahoma, and graduated from Ellison High School in Killeen, Texas in 1982. In 84, he enlisted in the Army, becoming the second generation in his family to do so after his father, Foreman Ross, an Army veteran. Buddy's first duty was in the 197th Infantry in Fort Benning, Georgia. While stationed there, he went to Germany for a month to help train airborne and OLS troops. He was next stationed with the 25th Infantry in Hawaii and was later sent to Korea for a month, where he met John O. Marsh, Jr., who was the Secretary of the Army. Buddy's duty was up in 1987. He now lives in Jay, Oklahoma, has 3 children, Vanessa, Miranda, and Gracie. And sir, I want to thank you for your service to this great country. Madam Speaker, that's all I have. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, at the morning after the last tribal council meeting, it was my privilege to accept an award on behalf of the Cherokee Nation, an award to Billy Walkabout in his induction as the first honoree in the U.S. Grant High School Hall of Fame. He was from Tahlequah, but he graduated from U.S. Grant in Oklahoma City. And there was a plaque presented, as well as a resolution of the Oklahoma County Commissioner Brian Mon, and the award was presented by Major General Rita Aragon, who's the Cabinet Secretary of Veterans Affairs for Governor Fallon. And Billy Walkabout is thought to be the most decorated Native American soldier of the Vietnam War. He received the Distinguished Service Cross, 5 Silver Stars, 1 upgraded to a Distinguished Service Cross, 10 Bronze Star medals, 5 with Valor Device, 1 Army Commendation Medal, including 1 Valor Device and 2 Oak Leaf Clusters, and 6 Purple Hearts. He was a Cherokee of the Blue Holly Clan, was the son of Warren Walkabout and Bobby Jean Walkabout. So there's also a section of Interstate 40s that goes through Oklahoma City that's named for Billy Walkabout. So the family asked that it be given to the Cherokee Nation and hopefully hung in the Veterans Center.
Shelley, I'm going to have you go ahead and call the roll now.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Here.
Honey.
Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, which would be November 13th, 2012, which is in your packet. Do I hear a motion? So moved. Motion and second having been made. Are there any questions or corrections? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda. Madam Speaker, before us is a list of items that passed out of committees today. But Madam Speaker, 2 items. One, which is currently on our agenda, which is Cherokee Nation Supreme Court nominee, Ms. Jones. I'd like to move her immediately before the State of the Nation. I'd like to move the election law amendments to the next item after Ms. Jones. And the election law amendments you'll find as number 10 on the paper that was handed out. Everything else, Madam Speaker, that appears on this paper to the end of the agenda. New items at the end of the agenda.
And this is on the paper that's been handed out.
And I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to amend the agenda, moving items 1 and 10 forward, and all others on the amendment that was handed out by Shelley to the end of the agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. So we'll take up number 1 in our book. No, we'll go to the state of next. We'll do number 1 in our book. And let's see, Mr. Hoskins, would you take that up?
Certainly.
Be sure and turn your.
Certainly, Madam Speaker. It's my pleasure to move for approval the nomination of Ms. Angela Jones as a Justice of the Cherokee Nation Supreme Court. She is a qualified justice. That's an understatement, given her track record as a litigator. Very pleased that she's accepted the Chief's nomination and would urge its approval.
We have a motion and second. Are there questions or discussion? Councilor Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I believe Angela's here, so if she'll come forward. Hi. Thank you for being here again tonight. I have no plans to change my vote, but I'm going to clarify for the record. I mean, this is a long term of service in an important position. You've hit the news, which means somebody has to say something. I have no idea. I couldn't get enough information, but I need to ask.
Okay.
I know that but first I want to make sure we've covered it in committee, but I want your assurance again that there will be no work with the United Katua Band going forward, and that any conflicts of interest, you would recuse yourself on those cases.
Yes, the article, I think you may be referencing the article that was in the Cherokee Phoenix. I think there was a mistake in part of that article. I believe it said that I did work directly for the UKB tribe and for the chief of the UKB. That is incorrect information. I think I tried to clarify in rules, and I know you probably need to bring it forward so it can be clarified here for your constituents. I do not do and have not ever done any work directly for the United Katua Band or for the chief or any of the officers of the United Katua Band. What I did was I took court appointments in their juvenile court, where I was appointed to represent some parents who could not afford to hire attorneys or to represent the interests of children in those cases. I have 2 pending cases that have not been resolved. Those cases are cases wherein I represent children. I have not taken any more cases for the United Katua Band Court since my appointment as on the Employee Appeals Board, nor will I take any further appointments. I just feel obligated because I'm representing the children for the continuity for those children to not withdraw from those cases. I do anticipate those cases ending very quickly in the near future. And I don't know if that answers that question on my involvement with the United Katua Band.
Yes, thank you. And so also just to clarify for the record again, who are your relatives and what positions are they in first and second degree within the tribe?
My mother, Diane Barker Harold, is the counsel or lawyer for the tribal council. My grandmother, Betty Barker, she was recently appointed to do something within the registrar's office. I don't know what her title is or her position is. My husband, Dr. Stephen Jones, is the deputy dental director over the dental clinics for the Cherokee Nation.
Thank you. The atmosphere, I guess, is where folks have gotten disposable cell phones, so now we get anonymous text. I can't figure out what's going on, but this HGWH or HWH, I guess at the end of the day, the question was, or there's concern around, do you have any business relationship, either directly or very closely indirectly with like a Mike Bailey or the CRC or any of the C&B businesses?
I do. I know you asked that question in rules, and after I left there, I have no idea what HGH or HWH or anything. I don't have any affiliation with anything to do with Cherokee Nation businesses or Mike Bailey. I did. There is another attorney in Oklahoma named Angela Jones. I don't know if it's coming from that. But I do know there is another attorney with the same name as mine, so there may be some confusion in that, but I have no affiliation with that company or any of the others that you had referenced.
And just so for whoever these people are, a person, is there anything, because once you leave here, you're independent over as you should be at the courthouse.
Yes.
So is there any potential conflict of interest you should disclose at this time?
I cannot think of any at all. And after the Rules Committee, I did try to make sure and think about any possible conflicts. There is nothing in my mind that I can think of that would cause a conflict. There are rules set up within the Supreme Court. I believe it may be Rule 161. Don't necessarily quote me on that, but it sets out the procedure for disqualification. And I can assure all members of the council that I would abide by that procedure. It's set up to safeguard any situations where there could be potential conflicts of interest, and I would abide by that. I consider the oath that I would take a very high oath, and I would honor that oath to defend the Cherokee Nation Constitution and the laws of the Constitution.
I said one last question. That is the 99 2003
Yes, the 99 Constitution.
Okay. Thank you for your patience and your candor and willingness to answer all my questions. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Angela, I think you answered that on the conflict of interest. You said they were policies already in place. Would you explain for the record to the public here what you're talking about? So there's already policies and procedures in place that keeps you from the conflict of interest?
There is within the court, there are rules for the court, and they are publicized on the website. It sets out the circumstances within which a potential conflict of interest can occur. There is a procedure if an attorney feels like there is a conflict of interest, procedure for them to approach the court and in a way to handle it. If the justice or the judge that they are requesting have a conflict, there is a procedure if that judge does not feel like there's a conflict. There is also a safeguard that allows for the other justices to have an input into that matter also. So it's not just a unilateral decision by the one justice.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Has a history of serving Native American people. I'm very proud of that. I'd like to be added as a sponsor, and I see no problem with you represent the children. I think that speaks to your character.
Thank you, Councilman Hogg.
Well, as a sponsor. Yes, please.
No, sponsor.
Mr. Lay, and let's see, there's Gordon and Frankie. Anybody else want to be added as sponsor? Mr. Irvin, Ms. Fulbright, Curtis, anybody else? Anybody else want discussion or question?
Just discussion. It's a statement. Angela, as I stated in committee, not to diminish your ability, that's not my intent, and not to try to second-guess the principal chief's choice. However, as you know, our Cherokee Nation has grown tremendously in recent years, particularly in the area of economic development and the jobs created, in our immense caseload. And also, I think it's important that we consider the political environment in Washington, D.C. today. Considering all of that, I'd like to see a nominee that has a little more depth of experience in the issues that are facing the Cherokee people and the Cherokee Nation, in particular as it affects our sovereignty. And again, I don't want you to take that personally. I just vote what I feel like I should do. So it's not meant to be personal at all.
I understand.
Thank you for being here also.
Are there any other questions or comments? I would like to make a comment. I have watched this young lady grow up, interacted with her in courtroom settings in the courthouse. She does have a vast array of experience, having served in 2 different courthouses as an assistant DA, having been a public defender. I find her credentials quite excellent because of her litigation experience. There's not many ladies that will go into the litigation area, and this is one that has chosen to do that. I also know that when you're called to do a court appointment, this is something you do for your community. You do not turn down that call. And I know of no provision anywhere that says you cannot continue taking guardian ad litem positions for kids in the UKB tribal court, nor do I know of any prohibition that tells you cannot represent the parents in the UKB court. That is not part of our restrictions for becoming a Supreme Court judge for us. You cannot hold a position of honor, is the only thing with another tribe. Those are court appointments which all of us as lawyers are asked to take on occasion, and these are people that cannot pay a lawyer. These are people that need legal advice. They need legal representation. And if we keep calling down the attorneys that can take those court appointments, pretty soon there's no one to represent the ones that need to be represented the most, and that's our children and our parents that cannot speak for themselves. So I just want to clarify that I hope you will continue taking court appointments from any and all areas that you're asked to be on the court appointment list. We need more people like you that will step up to the plate and take care of those that cannot take care of themselves. And I will be supporting this nomination. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are, yes.
Thank you. I just, out of curiosity, because Councilor Jordan brings up an interesting point, and I wasn't clear about this before, but mentioning that taking cases of children whose parents cannot pay in this instance. So when you take these cases in this capacity, are you doing it pro bono, or who is paying you exactly for that?
It is paid through the court fund of, depending on the jurisdiction. I take court-appointed cases for parents and children in Cherokee District Court. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I have 2 cases left before the United Kituwa Band. It is their court fund that pays that, but it is at an extremely reduced
I'm sure
rate.
It is. But it is nevertheless a court fund of that jurisdiction, which would be the UKB. So it is the UKB who is paying.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll go ahead and call for the question, and I think we'll have a roll call vote on this. Shelley, you want to go ahead and do roll call?
Janelle Fulbright?
Yes.
Don Garvin?
Yes.
Frankie Hargis? Chuck Huskin Jr.?
Yes.
China Gloria Jordan?
Yes.
Lee Keener?
Yes.
Dick White?
Yes.
Curtis Snell?
Yes.
David Thornton?
Yes.
David Walkenstick?
Yes.
Kara Callan Locke?
Yes.
Phil Anklin?
Yes.
Jack Bedford?
Yes.
Joe Burt?
Yes.
Julianne Coates?
Yes.
Joe Arpaio?
Yes.
Meredith Braley?
No.
16 yes and 1 no.
Okay. I would like to introduce to you our newest Supreme Court Justice, probably the youngest Supreme Court Justice that we'll have now, and she will take the oath of office at a future date. Miss Angie Jones.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I consider this a great honor as a Cherokee citizen, as a lawyer, and mostly as a female. And I just want to thank the members of the council and Chief Baker for their confidence in my abilities to do this job. Thank you.
You might introduce that your grandmother and your mother are up there on the back row.
They're on the back. My mother's probably crying.
I see your husband back there, too.
And my husband, he's on the back row here, too.
Okay, we'll move on to our next agenda item, which I believe was number 10 on our handout. And Chuck, I'm going to give that to you again, too.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, out of Rules Committee is amendments to our election statute. These provide some needed updates to the statute and make some policy changes that the committee deemed appropriate. So with that, I'd move for its approval.
Okay, we have a motion. Okay, we have a motion and second. Are there comments or questions? Councilor Coates?
Yeah. Thank you. I'm just going to go on record yet again. The revisions, the amendments that are being made here are, in the most part, not major things. They are clarifying. They are giving greater powers. They are, making more specific certain things. But there is one aspect of this which is a huge change, and it requires that the candidates for the at-large council position henceforth must reside outside the jurisdiction. I believe this to be in violation of our Constitution. I believe it to be counter to the decision of our Supreme Court in the early part of 2011. I was also a delegate at the Constitutional Convention in 1999. I have examined those transcripts again very closely as part of the court case last year, and it is...
Could you hold on for just a second? Ms. Jones, would it? I'm going to go ahead and, okay.
Yeah, took care of it.
Let's hold on for just a second.
Get her out of here.
This may be something that ends up somewhere else, and I would just like for no one to be in the meeting room that might have to hear this sometime in the future.
She's leaving.
We're just going to wait till she gets done. That's why we very rarely have judges come to our meetings. Okay. You may continue, Ms. Coates.
This is something that I believe has already been decided by our court, so I don't know, but anyway, it changes things vastly in terms of running for the council position. As I was beginning to say, and Councilor Baker, Jack Baker, has concurred with me on this, as both of us were delegates to the Constitutional Convention. There was an extensive debate around this. There were very clear reasons why the delegation worded the Constitution as they did. Their intention, if we go back and look at the transcripts, was clearly that candidates and representatives of the at-large population would be allowed to live either in district or out of district. So I think this is a sweeping move on the part of this body to try to legislatively change the Constitution, a Supreme Court decision, and the intentions of the delegation in the 1999 Constitutional Convention. So I will be opposing this because of this one provision. Other than this, I believe that these amendments, these revisions, these clarifications of the election code are very good and very strong and are much needed. But this goes far, far beyond simply dealing with the process of how we're going to hold elections. So I think this is out of line. I think it's unwarranted, and I will be opposing this because of it. Thank you.
Okay. Council Lady Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First, I'd like to say thank you to the council members and the commissioners, the election commissioners, who put, I think, a significant amount of work in this, even though it may turn out to only be a few changes which seem minor to the public. It's significant work, and anytime anyone opens up the election law to work on it, I appreciate that. There are some really key things that I think the public needs to be aware of in a good way, is that this act, if passed as is tonight, will compel the Election Commission to put the meeting minutes and their rules and regulations on a regular basis up on the Cherokee Nation website, so they're much easier to obtain, rather than wondering what they are and having to go through the process of contacting our very small election staff and taking their time to respond to ongoing FOIA or Freedom of Information Act requests. The other thing is that they will ensure, I know there was a lot of frustration by regular folks, not just the folks working on campaigns, that the vote tallies were not posted at the actual local precinct. So this compels that to occur very specifically. And I think that addresses some of the people's frustration around that very issue on whether or not they could personally check the vote totals and some of the things we saw happening in 2011. It also addresses some of the issues we saw around absentee ballots, whether folks got them, didn't get them, where they were partially destroyed by the time they reached their home, or they never understood that it never came in the mail, all those questions around absentee ballots, and then they went to a precinct to vote. And how do you handle that? How do you count that individual voter's ballot? Is it counted or not? That was another significant issue that we faced as voters in the 2011 elections. And I think this new wording around absentee ballots and challenge ballots goes a long way in trying to address, to make sure that none of our voters are disenfranchised and that their vote counts. Then the other thing that has been done is the actual procedure for counting will be created and published no early or no later than 90 days prior to the election. That is very significant given what happened in 2011. The questions around, is there a procedure? What is it? Is it consistent in counting ballots? I think that when the Supreme Court sat in and watched the ballot count or counted the ballots in the June 2011 election, it's very apparent we were missing a lot of things that make an election work so that it's fair and equitable, and that if a challenge occurs, you can really get your arms around what happened. However, in committee, because this was voted on in committee today, I am going to support this, but there are two very significant shortcomings that we could have addressed in committee and we didn't. So there were council people here that voted not to allow public to have a comment period on those rules and regulations around counting. So instead of making sure that the Cherokee people could, number one, understand them, and number two, agree with them that they were fair and would create an accurate outcome for an election, we did not compel the Election Commission to allow for a public comment period of any length other than a public meeting, which they already have, and allow folks that don't live in Tahlequah, for example, and who don't have a job during the day, so where they could actually not have to take off work to attend this meeting, compel them to allow for written comments or other ways that our citizens need time to actually provide input and make sure that there's multiple sets of eyes looking at the fairness and accuracy of our elections. Then, something that I did not think of in committee that I'm very concerned about, and I hope that we take it back up and look at it again. Not only has the court already decided, and it's very clear in the record of the Constitutional Convention, about at-large residency requirements being different than the in-district requirements, and if you review your tribal constitution, it specifically only addresses in jurisdiction districts requiring residency within their districts. We're doing two things that are going to happen, or could happen, and I think this disenfranchises our regular Cherokee people from several things. First of all, it should be up to the Cherokee people in the at-large districts to decide if the residency or where somebody lives is an important campaign issue. I mean, that's really up to them. I'm going to pick on my colleague to my right. When she first ran, she lived in California, and people voted. Well, you were between, weren't you?
No, I have always had my legal residence in Oklahoma.
Okay, thank you for the
Always lived
clarification. But there was also, she was teaching in California. I don't know how people perceive that. So, but in actuality, her technical residence has always been here in Tahlequah. So twice the at-large voters have voted for somebody that lives in district.
Councilman
So-
Watts, you need to wrap it up. We've got other people wanting to talk, and we have a long evening, so wrap it up.
Madam Speaker, I am, and I appreciate your courtesy. One more minute. So what happens is, it should be a political issue that the at-large people get to decide, because that's important to them. What if they want somebody that lives at large to move in district to be close and watch what's going on in Tahlequah? Who could afford to have two residences? That is going to alienate the majority of Cherokee citizens, and I think that's a failure on our part. So there are opportunities in this, even with the really good changes, and I think that we need to reconsider them. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay, anybody else on this side? Councilman Hoskins?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First of all, I appreciate the co-sponsors and the whole committee's work on this legislation, and want to address a couple of the points raised by Councilor Coates and Councilor Cowan-Watts. First of all, with respect to this residency requirement, what we're talking about here is the very reasonable proposition that if you want to represent the at-large Cherokees, then you ought to live among the at-large Cherokees. This is not a radical proposition. Now, I was a delegate to the Constitutional Convention as well. I remember the deliberations over the section that's at issue. If you look at this section, Madam Speaker, it is one of the most meticulously detailed sections of our Constitution. We deal very precisely with at-large residents and when they can vote inside a district. So the delegates, which included myself, took great pains to be very precise in this section. And what we did not say, but I think what Councilor Coates wishes we had, and Councilor Cowan-Watts wishes we had, we didn't say that an at-large representative, an at-large candidate could live anywhere. In fact, the Constitution is silent on that issue. But the council has long established residency requirements. The folks in District 4 have to live in District 4. That's a very reasonable proposition, Madam Speaker. All this legislation does is level the playing field. If you want to represent folks, live among the folks. That's a very simple proposition that I think the Cherokee people support. It's not unconstitutional. Notice that Councilor Coates didn't cite a specific part of the Constitution that she thought was violated. The reason she didn't do that is because there is none. There is none. The courts last time had a statute in front of them that exempted the at-large candidates from any residency requirement. We're changing that. Legislative bodies do this all the time. This is nothing radical, nothing sweeping. This is, in fact, I think, very reasonable. Now, with respect to Councilor Cowan-Watts and her comments on the public comment period, what we did was we freed the Election Commission up to adopt rules, very specific rules, Madam Speaker, for counting ballots based on the machines that they use. And what we said is that they have to come up with those rules 90 days before an election, because we don't want them sprung on us, but want to give them some flexibility. The Election Commission doesn't do this under cover of darkness. Anyone who's observed the Election Commission knows that they are an open body. And under this legislation that we're passing, they're going to be even more open, because they're going to be publishing their rules on the internet, their agendas on the internet. So this is not taking place under cover of darkness, which I think is the impression that would be given if no one rebutted Councilor Cowan-Watts' comments. The fact of the matter is, this is a public body. They're going to do this in the open public. There'll be an opportunity for the public to have input. Now, We can revisit it down the road, but I don't want the impression left with the Cherokee people that somehow this legislation allows the Election Commission to do something underhanded, under cover of darkness, because it's just not true. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Anybody else on this end? Okay, this is an act, so we'll take a roll call. Yes is to approve the amendments that we went over this afternoon. I believe everyone was provided with your sheets.
We have an update.
And we have an updated version of that act with the amendments in it. And you also had the sheet that was handed out this afternoon. So yes is to pass that, no is not to make the amendments. Jody, will you call the roll, please?
Jack Baker.
No.
Joe Byrd.
Yes.
Juliet Coates.
No.
Jody Fishingham.
Yes.
Meredith Fraley.
Yes.
Janelle Fulbright.
Yes.
John Barton.
Yes.
Tracy Hargis.
Yes.
Chuck Huskin Jr.
Yes.
Hannah Gloria Jordan.
Yes.
Dick Keener.
No.
Dick Clay.
Yes.
Curtis Smith.
Yes.
David Thornton.
Yes.
David Walkenstick.
Yes.
Karen Callen Watts.
Yes.
Bill England.
Yes.
Yes, and three.
So the act is passed. It's incorporated into our election laws. Okay, we're gonna go back now to our regular agenda and Principal Chief of the Baker.
Greetings.
Greetings.
This is the last State of the Nation for 2012. Last opportunity that I have to be before you, and we're going to start out with a few announcements and a few program updates, and but it has seems like this year has just flown by. The Cherokee Nation this last month, the last 4 weeks, we have been extremely busy, not only traveling all over the United States, but traveling to Christmas parades in the four corners of the Cherokee Nation. We've been received extremely well. Our people are really pleased at all of our community meetings with their photo IDs, and I think they're pleased with the programming that we're taking, not only inside the districts, but outside the 14 counties. We had a really good event at the courthouse square with the lighting up of the courthouse square in conjunction with NSU's lighting of the seminary hall, and the skating park has been open. So drive through Main Street. It is extremely festive, and while you're going down, at least the outside of the old court mall really looks nice. And they've got a lot of Cherokee art pieces in the front windows. So just take a little time and go down through Main Street. It looks extremely well. Our volunteers, not only here at the Nation, but at CNE, have been diligently and actively busy trying to help with our angel tree that is going extremely well. Over 1,900 children are going to be served by the Cherokee Nation this Christmas season. The volunteers say it's going extremely well, and I appreciate all the council's help getting those presents out. Tomorrow we're going to have the hard grand opening of the Cherokee Casino at Fort Gibson. They had a soft opening on the 4th, and it's been extremely busy ever since. This year, the December Wednesday, the tag offices at all locations will be closed they've got some training going on, and so if you get any calls or anything, the staff will be in development. On Friday the 21st, the afternoon, the staff will be having their annual Christmas party at Sequoia High School, and they'll take off 2 hours early that day, and then of course won't be here Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, believe it or not. I hope everybody will get an opportunity on December the 18th from 11 to 3 to come through the complex. Our departments are having an open house and decorating for Christmas, and we'll have Santa Claus and photos and elves and door prizes and an opportunity for our citizens to come through the complex and be hosted for the Christmas season. And other than that, we hadn't done much. But everything, I mean, everybody seems to be working hard, and lots of good things have taken place. At this time, we will have a moment of silence for some remembrances of friends and family that have passed this last month. I went to a funeral today. Jared Rhodes, he was one of our employees in our COTA program. Mike Adair from Hulbert passed away. Lizzie Whitekiller, an elder and Cherokee speaker and a great Cherokee patriot. Susan Cheater, her sister is Ida Weber in the health department. Barbara Carlisle, Raymond, Hollywood rock star Washington. He was a fixture here at the Nation in his wheelchair and around the Cherokee Nation. He passed away. Jeannie Dingle, one of our employees at Catoosa. Thelma L. Hawk Gonzalez from Stillwell. And the council have any others that have passed this last month? Janelle?
Ruby Silk.
Ruby Silk. Yes. Kara?
Patricia Hip of Foyle and Claremore, Phyllis Wooten of Chelsea, Jane Cole McFarland of Claremore, Ursula Turnbull Thomas of Owasso, and Mandy Middleton of Seminole and Skytook.
Thank you. Chief?
Cherokee speaker,
Curtis?
David Hudson and James Buck.
Okay. Frank? Okay. If we would, let's take a moment of silence and remember these souls that and their families that this is a terrible time of year to lose a loved one. Well, on a much lighter note, something that came up in this last month that warmed my heart, and I think has warmed the hearts of many in our communities. We're going to recognize some true heroes here tonight. The first, if Caleb Davis would come forward. Okay, Caleb, stand tall. He's a fourth grader at Briggs School. Caleb was at lunch with his friend Justice, and you've been friends a long time, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
And you knew when he was choking, right?
Yes.
He kind of had a funny look on his face.
Yes.
Well, Caleb immediately jumped into action and gave him the Heimlich maneuver and got that big old chunk of bread right out of his throat, didn't you?
Yes.
Well, we appreciate the Cherokee spirit, and recognition of service to the Cherokee Nation above and beyond the call of duty. And it's a Cherokee National Medal of Patriotism. Mama, you want to give a speech?
We're very proud of it. Thank
Yeah, we're very proud.
We are too.
And if that wasn't enough, we followed up, and many of you have seen it on TV, but we had two bright young Cherokee citizens that were at Honor Heights Park watching the Christmas lights when a automobile caught on fire and I guess ran down the hill out of control. And they both jumped into action only to find two elderly women trapped inside this burning vehicle. They went in, they saved both women, and I'm going to let them tell you about knocking the fire off the woman's head. And but if we could have Chris Vance and Craig Potts please come forward. All right, fellas. We were so proud that you did what you did, even before we knew you were Cherokee. And then when we found out that you were, we wanted to have you over tonight and give each of you one of these medals. But you are going to have to say something. Tell us what happened.
Well, we just seen the car on fire and we just reacted as fast as we could and tried to get them out. And that was basically it. We just got them out safely.
Was the lady's hair on fire?
Yeah, it was hot.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you.
I was just wanting to tell how I put the lady's hair out.
Yeah. One of them said that their hands were burning, and you said, well, the fingertips are flying. Melody, we appreciate you so much, and we're proud to have you citizens of the Cherokee Nation.
Thank you.
Well, with this Christmas season, I would like to wish each and every council person and each and every citizen and everyone across the Cherokee Nation over the internet a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. God bless you.
We'll move on to committee reports. Mr. Cooper with the Housing Authority.
Madam Speaker, members of the council, good evening. The December Housing Authority Board meeting will be next Tuesday at 5:30 in the evening at the Housing Authority offices here in Tahlequah. I would also like to mention that next Thursday, December 20th, Housing Authority offices will be closed for staff development and training, and I would invite each and every one of you to join us if you have an opportunity for a luncheon at the Sequoia Ballroom at Hard Rock for our staff on that day, December 20th, Thursday. And I'll give Gail the information so she can send each of you a meeting notice. I know that y'all have had a long day, and you still have quite a few things on your agenda for this evening, so I'll try to keep it short. I think we have been working very hard in getting everything up and going. I know that we have been out to many of your areas over the past month or so, and we have several other community meetings coming up here in the next couple of weeks. And if any of you have anything going on in your areas, like community meetings, things of that nature, that you'd like some of our staff to be at, we'd be more than happy to be out there and to meet with your staff and to do what we can to answer questions concerning housing. I would also like to mention that we continue to have we continue to work on building our new homes. We have several things going on. We have houses at every stage of the process, from land inspections to title work to getting the deeds done to currently undergoing construction, and everywhere in between. It's really starting to kind of take off and get going right now, as far as getting through all the backlog of things that it takes to get a program back up and going from nothing, and we are there, and it's really starting to look a lot better and look a lot different as far as housing goes from now, and I know over the next few months, especially as with winter coming on, and of course things will kind of slow down as far as construction goes, but we'll still try to keep things going as best we can. But I think with this spring coming on, you'll really see a big push out there in all of the counties whenever it comes to housing and housing opportunities. Our Community Shield Insurance Program continues to be a very worthwhile program, a very successful program for a lot of our low-income families, where we offer homeowners insurance, and we have just a little bit less than 2,400 people that participate on that program throughout the Cherokee Nation. And I would like to say that on behalf of all the employees at the Housing Authority of the Cherokee Nation, I want to wish each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And if you all have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer those for you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. How many families are in homes right now?
I believe I'd have to go back and look at the report that I had given out this afternoon. I want to say that there are, and don't hold me to it, but I want to say that there's 14, and then we have another 14 under construction, and then we have 20 that's getting ready, that's in the final title work and abstracting phase right now.
Are some of those in Taiwan by chance?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
Now, I do expect, I will just mention that a lot of the first families that are getting, whenever we first started the new housing construction program, we offered all of those families that did not get to participate on the Community Services Self-Help Program the first chance to apply. So there was a lot of those families that chose to transfer their application over to the new construction program, and I know that there was Adair, Sequoia, Cherokee, and Mays County was where the first ones on that list was, and then I think yours is right in there, just right behind. And I know that there was some in Mays that was up there on the very top of that waiting list. And whenever I say at the very top, I remember seeing a couple of names on there that had like 2009 as the application date from the original self-help program. So we are working on trying to get all of those processed and get all of those pushed through and get those families housing, because they have been expecting housing for a long time.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gary.
You're welcome.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you,
Madam Speaker.
what's the biggest holdup or challenge as far as getting houses going?
The biggest deal is just is taking the program from nothing, nothing, and to getting it out there to where we can actually get houses going. And whenever I say that, I mean it's you have quite a bit of stuff that you have to do from a piece of property. You know, someone owns their own land. It's a piece of raw land out there, and they want a house built on that property. There's quite a bit of stuff that has to be done there. We do everything from the very beginning, from a site inspection, make sure that the site's buildable, to work with the utility companies, make sure that they'll provide us with utilities. We're not going to build a house and not be able to get water there or electric there.
What about the titles and abstracts? Does that take a while?
It does, because we kind of have to take care of those beginning things first. We're starting to right now get all of that first part of it done, so we can start getting the title work and the abstracting and things of that nature done. So we have plenty in the pipeline that will kind of continue to kind of flow on through. So there won't be a holdup as far as it goes, because I mean it is there's quite a bit involved in getting it out there. And like I said, I mean we've seen things happen over the years, you know, where house gets built, can't get good water to it, you know, things like that. And we want to make sure that nothing like that happens. We want to make sure that if we build a family home on their land, that we have taken everything, that we have done everything that we could to make sure that they have good title to the property. Make sure that on down the road, whenever they pay off that house, that they have good and marketable title to that property, and they're not stuck out there with something that's that they can't do anything with. And that's one of the main things, and that's what, you know, a lot of families get anxious. A lot of families try to you know, say, oh well, can't we just go ahead and do this? And the answer is no. We want to make sure that they are able to. And the thing is, if they have several acres, a lot of times the things that we do really takes time and clears up a lot of things.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Thank y'all. Merry Christmas.
Good evening, Council. I have a brief report tonight. The information that you were provided was through September 30th on our financials, and I'm happy to publicly say it was one of the best years that CMB and C&E have ever enjoyed, and that was due to a lot of hard work by our great employees, but also the support we've received from Chief Baker and administration, the council, and guidance from our board of directors. So it's been a good team year, and we look forward to 2013 being more of the same. In addition to just the monthly net income that we contribute, we had tax collections of $270,000 that were remitted to the nation. Proud to announce that Cherokee CCRC was awarded 3 multiple task award orders. What those are not, those give you the opportunity to bid in a confined group. So there may be 2 or 3 people bidding on a particular project as opposed to being in a pool of 10 or 20. Very happy about that. Those 3 will give them the potential of doing $50 million each in contracts. Our Cherokee Nation Business and Leadership Development Team was awarded the 2012 Excellence in People Development Award by the American Society of Training and Development. Very proud of that group. They're the group that has the training programs and development programs for our Cherokee employees to try to give them a path forward. As Chief mentioned, we opened the new Fort Gibson Casino on Tuesday the 4th. It's been a great success to this date. We anticipate that continuing. It was a lot of hard work. It now employs approximately 150 people. In 2003, it employed 12. So made great strides in that community, and we're very proud of it. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., there'll be the grand opening for everybody, the public. Our Cherokee Casino in Tahlequah contributed $10,000 to the Cherokee Nation Breast and Cervical Cancer Early Detection Program to help educate women about breast and cervical cancer. And they did that through a promotion for every jackpot won. They provided a $25 contribution. Just as a company on whole, we contributed $20,000 to the Cherokee Angel Tree. We also had 568 angels adopted. Currently, we have 4,237 employees. Our Cherokee percentage is 71%, other Native American at 7.6, for a total of 78.6 Native American. That concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
As everybody knows, FairMed has kind of shut down recently, and my understanding is we put $2 million in their Horseman Association with the Creeks and Osage. Our part is the third of that $2 million, I guess. And what I'm suggesting is it'd be good if we could move that $2 million down to Blue Ribbon Downs and start racing down south. So, has there been any talk, or have you had any meetings, or?
Well, there's been a lot of talk, and you know, that particular issue has been talked about for a long time, whether or not reopening Blue Ribbon Downs was feasible. We have not found a way to make that economically feasible for the nation, you know, we continue to look at that situation to try to come up with some alternatives for that track that might benefit both the community and not be a burden on the nation economically. And Chief has tasked us with that order. We have been working. We're very close to maybe proposing something, but at this point we have not looked at reopening Blue Ribbon Downs as that option. We went through the review and just couldn't make that work financially for the tribe.
On the other hand, Chief Tiger says that compact with the State Gaming Commission no longer is good. Any thoughts on what? Are we going to continue to pay our part of that $2 million?
Well, there are a lot of people looking at that to try to understand what the implications of Fair Meadows not racing there are. And I think there are a lot of different opinions out there, but I don't think anybody has really come down with the final position on that. Our position at C&B is that we're going to follow the terms of the compact, whatever that is. We will be in compliance with the compact. If that's making the payments, then that's what we would do, but yeah, you know, that remains to be seen.
Even if it's no racing, we'll continue the compact.
Well, yes, we'll follow the terms of the compact. That may not mean paying the person, but if we're obligated to do that, then we will do that.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Sean, to your knowledge, did we have any involvement with that deal that the Creeks made?
Absolutely not.
Thank you. I'll put it to rest.
Well.
Okay, and then to your knowledge, are we planning on any further casino expansions?
We are currently looking at Roland. That's our first and oldest facility. And so we are in the business feasibility and business case phase right now to see what would be required down there to keep the competition at bay.
Are we looking at any new locations for casinos?
We are always looking for new opportunities in the gaming business, and so if I said no, that wouldn't be truthful.
Do we have anything planned for new locations at this time?
And we do have some identified that if it's possible to put a casino at that location, then we would, and the business case supported it, then we would move forward with that with everybody's approval.
I'm glad you were able to answer that, because somebody inside the chief's office had indicated we were, and I hadn't heard that from you, and so I was really concerned. I've been trying to go to the board meetings and follow the notes. And on the piece of legislation for the wind farm tonight,
Yes,
has that been shared with our real estate department?
yes.
Okay.
But-
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Sean, I was going to ask you again how the tribal council policy is coming along.
There hadn't been any further movement on that, Lee. We've drafted it, and at some point when we all have just a second to sit down and go over that with council, we will do that and get that rolled out.
Should we maybe set a date for that?
Yes, I'll try to get that done, make a commitment to have that done by the next, not tomorrow's Executive Finance Committee, but one in January.
We'll be rolling that out, Lee, after Sean and I have had an opportunity to go over it. So, no, there will be no deadline put on it. We'll bring it to you as soon as it's completed.
I retract my previous statement.
Will that be made public, Madam Speaker? Will that be made public?
Once I've discussed it with the council, it will be.
Thank you.
Real brief. I've been asked, since I haven't spoken yet, by Councilor Cowan Watts, that she still has not received the actuals for Kaylin Free's work for C&B. Is that going to be are those going to be forthcoming soon?
My understanding that has been submitted through the FOIA process, so I would assume that it would be.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Slayton.
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
You too.
All right, that's going to move us down to, I see no old business pending, so we'll move right into new business, and we're going to start with number 2 in our book. And Ms. Fishinghawk, would you take that?
Yes. This is an act that amends the comprehensive operating budget for fiscal year 2013 by an increase of $3,883,520 for a total budget authority of $532,193,180. I put this in the form of a motion.
Do I hear a second? Are there questions or comments? Councilor Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I won't be able to support this tonight because there's $3.5 million of the Cherokee people's money that we still don't know exactly if it's going to be put to the use we need it to be put to use for in terms of the $80 million healthcare plan. I believe there's properties identified, but we don't know if they will fit the needs for the next year, next 20 years, or next 50 years for healthcare for the respective clinics and expansions or remodels that would be impacted. We're given no assurance also whether or not on one particular piece of property, if it would even, after the money was spent, not take additional millions to put needed infrastructure such as water and sewage and other things on it. So before we spend the Cherokee people's money, I think it's prudent to have a plan and a strategy, make sure we're meeting the needs that we know and understand for the tribe, and we have no health care plan. So I'd hate to just misspend $3.5 million, although I completely support the $80 million in expansion of quality health care for the Cherokee people. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I do believe we have a health care plan that was presented to the council. It's called the Health Care Master Plan. And I encourage everybody to vote for this because I do not think we can go wrong by putting more money to our health care needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaker. I had a question on the 12949, as the indirect cost pool for registration. I received. So on the narrative, I believe it calls out for additional money to help with the new registration. And so, but then on the spreadsheet, it has 2 new jobs there, 2 clerks. So the bulk of that budget is going to be for employment, which that's fine. But I guess my real question is, will that be it for this year, this coming year? I guess I'll have to correct that to Treasurer Horn. My question would be if that 120 will cover all the way to the end of the fiscal year 2013.
Almost there. Thank you. Okay. Yes, you're correct. It does add 2 positions for clerk 3s, and this is the first of what I understand will be 2 budget modifications for the registration department. As you all know, there's a huge interest and a huge demand for the new photo IDs. I've seen it for myself, and I know that you all have seen it at your community meetings. And so, yes, the registrar's office has asked for additional funding in this area, and it will be forthcoming in another mod.
Okay, will it be another additional 120 or so?
The amount is yet to be determined.
Will it be $500,000 or $1 million?
I don't have it with me.
Okay, I guess we'll be getting ready for that, right?
It will be in January's mod.
Okay. And then also on those jobs, I guess some of those are not filled. So I didn't know if the plan was to just keep creating jobs and not filling them, or what on that? If you don't have to answer that.
I think Linda has plans to fill them.
Yes,
She's got more work than she can handle right now.
Right. Okay, thank you. And then on the $3.5 million, I do want to comment on that as well. Find that real quick. Apologize. On the narrative, it does say that there's no detail for spending that $3,500,000. No detail on specific projects is provided. And when we first were introduced to this last month, we had no detail. And I was thinking we would, naively I guess, but I was thinking we would have some indication of what this money would be used for after a month of looking at it. So, but since there is no detail, and I understand in business you may not want to reveal everything, but we could, as a council, I think, have some indication of what this would be used for. So I would not be able to support this with that $3,500,000, and also it zeroes out that account, correct?
It doesn't zero out the account. It simply moves it from the reserve by appropriation account into capital acquisitions.
Okay. I would not be able to.
So it just makes it available.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Anybody else on this side? Ms. Coates.
Thank you. This is actually in relation to the registration questions, but I think this question is probably better directed at Secretary Head, who is here as well. If I may ask a question about the increase in activity in issuing these new voter ID cards, or not voter ID, but registration cards. I was unaware of this, but at the meeting in Houston recently, where a number of at-large people were receiving their cards from the registration department, I noticed for the first time that on the form, there is language there that says that by signing this form, a person is consenting to their contact information being released to the administration. And I didn't see anywhere on that form to opt out of that requirement. And I just wanted to ask about that, because it appears to me that this may be circumventing the Privacy Act, and it may even be a violation of the Constitution, because our Constitution states that registration data is not to be shared, is to be kept in the registration department. So I wanted to inquire about the use of that language, and if there, what would happen if people refused, because it didn't seem to be any place to do that on there.
We'll be glad to run your question by the Attorney General office to clarify that. That would be an answer for the Attorney General.
Okay. On the constitutional aspect, I would agree. It would seem like it would just be reasonable to offer an opt-out option. Would that be possible, do you think, on this particular form?
That is a possibility.
You know, that this would not be required to do this in order to get the new ID card. They really don't offer that option at this point, so.
I'd say that is a definite option.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Questions or comments? Okay, this is an act, so we'll do it by roll call. Shelley?
Bill England,
No.
Jack Baker,
No.
Joe Byrd,
Yes.
Julia Coates,
No.
Fishing Hawk,
Yes.
Meredith Braley,
No.
Janelle Fulbright,
Yes.
Don Garvin,
Yes.
Frankie Hargis, Chuck Huskey Jr.,
Yes.
Tana Gloria Jordan,
Yes.
Dick Keener,
No.
Dick Blake,
Yes.
Curtis Snell,
Yes.
David Thornton, David Walkenstick,
Yes.
Kara Callan Watt.
No.
Yes and 6 no.
Okay. The budget mod number 3 has passed. That will move us into number 3 in your book. And Ms. Fishing Hawk, I'll have you take that one too.
This act is a comprehensive capital budget for 2013. What it does, it is a reprogramming of the capital budget into a line item expenditure, and I move for its approval.
Okay. We have a motion and second on number 3. Questions or comments?
Just to clarify, this is the Muskogee repairs, right?
Yes, I believe it is.
I read it again and I still wasn't, okay, thank
Yes, it is the Muskogee repairs. But we can have Lacey, I'm sorry, I didn't see you behind the podium there.
Yes, Madam
Clarify
Speaker, that is correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, are all minds clear? All right, we're going to do this by roll call. It's an act.
David Walkenstick,
Yes.
Kara Callan Watt,
Yes.
Bill England,
Yes.
Jack Baker,
Yes.
Joe Byrd,
Yes.
Julia Coates,
Yes.
Jody Fishing Hawk,
Yes.
Meredith Braley,
Yes.
Janelle Fulbright, Don Garvin,
Yes.
Frankie Hargis, Chuck Huskey Jr.,
Yes.
Tana Gloria Jordan,
Yes.
Lee Keener,
Yes.
Dick Blake,
Yes.
Curtis Snell,
Yes.
David Thornton. We have 16 yes.
Okay, number 3, the capital improvement budget, Mod 1, has passed. We're going to move to our amended agenda now, and this will be number 4 on your handout. And Mr. Garvin, would you take that?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First, I'd like to say thank you to everyone that worked on this, especially the Rules Chairman and our attorney for helping. And what we have is a citizen that lives in Muskogee, and the borderline between the Cherokees and the creeks runs right through one of these closets. And there's about 98% inside the nation and about 2% out. And we're trying to get it where he can vote in the district of his choice, which would be 3. So let me read the purpose. The purpose of this act is to include residences of Cherokee Nation citizens, a portion of which lies within the jurisdictional boundaries of the Cherokee Nation, so that the Cherokee Nation Election Commission will be able to determine a voter's residence location, and the voter shall be able to make a one-time initial option to choose the district in which to vote, regardless of whether their residence lies within the district or at large, which will then be how the voter votes in the future, and this act is for voting purposes only. I make a motion to be approved and approved by acclamation.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second, comments or discussion. Start down here. Comments or discussion
Yes.
By acclamation.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. There you go. You established the law for us to take care of a complicated matter. Okay, number 5 on our amended agenda. Again, it's on our handout. Councilor Fishing, can you take that?
Yes, this is a resolution establishing the council warrior awards to recognize current and past council members. There's an error that I'm just now catching coming out of committee. It had deputy chief and chief instead of executive cabinet members, and justice and judges of the judicial branch for the military. And I'd like to make the change to line up with the, what come out of committee. Where it says executive cabinet members, in committee we talked about it being the deputy chief and the chief.
Speaker, I second. Just to recap, substitute the language, we would strike executive cabinet members in the title, replacing with deputy chief, deputy chief rather, and therefore resolve and strike executive cabinet members, replacing with chief, deputy chief, I think is what that's.
We have a motion and a second with an amendment. Is everyone on understanding what the amendment is? We're removing executive cabinet members, and in its place, we're putting chief and deputy chief. And then down in the be it resolved clause, we also would remove executive cabinet members and would have chief and deputy chief. Comments or questions? Okay, it is a resolution, so everyone in favor of passing this resolution can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those in opposition? I believe the ayes have it. Okay, now we're on number 6. Frankie, would you care to take that one?
State burial ceremony of current and former principal and deputy chiefs, Cherokee Nation, and providing a stipend to their families for burial assistance. I make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on number 6, on the state burial ceremony. Questions or comments?
I would like to do this.
We already have you down for today. Would there be anybody else that would like to be added as a sponsor? Mr. Walking said. Is there anybody else? Okay. Mr. Lottie? Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, this is an act. We'll go ahead and take a roll call vote.
By acclamation? By acclamation?
Yes, we would consider that. Are you making that motion? By acclamation then. All those
Aye.
All those opposed? One abstention, that'd be Councilman Byrd. Is there anybody else? Okay. All right. We're on number 7 now.
Certainly, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, item number 7 is the act committee legislative back in 01 and 0710, the Cherokee Nation Motor Vehicle Licensing and Tax Code. Madam Speaker, at issue here is whether we should repurpose the 5% of tag money that we currently utilize for a competitive grant among the public schools in the Cherokee Nation. Dr. Morton from the Education Department has recognized what we all have seen, which is that our public schools are struggling. We need to do some outreach, and that the funds could be better used by his department if we repurpose it to that purpose. So with that, I move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Comments or questions? Start on the left. Anybody on the right?
By acclamation.
All right. All those in favor of the act can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Go forth and write for the score.
So, Madam Speaker, number 8 is a technical amendment to legislation we passed last month concerning sales tax for veterans. We need to clarify that while all currently disabled veterans are exempted under the law we passed last month, what our intent was that the remaining veterans, those that are not 100% permanently disabled, that the exemption is limited to veterans who are Cherokee citizens. So this simply corrects that oversight with that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Byrd and second. We seem to have left some of the sponsors off, so let me make sure who the sponsors are on number 8. Okay, Frankie, Lee, David Walkenstick, Mr. Lay, Jody. Curtis, Janelle, Mr. Gordon, Ms. Watts, and Mr. Amon. Okay. No questions or comments, so we'll go ahead and would this be by
Acclamation.
acclamation? Okay. All those in favor of number 8 can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All in opposition? Ayes have it. Okay, that brings us to number 9. Mr. Baker?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a resolution congratulating and commending Cherokee citizen Mark Wayne Mullen for his election to the Oklahoma 2nd Congressional District, and I move for its approval.
Okay, we have a motion and second of the resolution on Mark Wayne Mullins. I believe we took additional sponsors this afternoon. Is there any other sponsors? Okay. With that, are there any questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Hoskins.
Just briefly, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I appreciate Councilman Baker's leadership to get this through and Congressman-elect Mullen swearing in. I didn't support Congressman Mullen politically because philosophically it just didn't seem like we lined up. But this is about supporting, number one, our congressman. We want our congressman to succeed. But before that, it's a Cherokee, and we want our Cherokees to succeed. But I think that I'd be remiss if I didn't go on record as to say that if he is to succeed to be our congressman, to be a congressman that represents the interests of Northeast Oklahoma and the interests of Cherokees, there's going to be times when he'll need to stand up to his party leadership in Washington. Because the fact of the matter is, the House leadership in Washington if you looked at their budgets, it'd be detrimental, Madam Speaker, to the Cherokee Nation, detrimental to programs for job creation, job training, education, healthcare, across the board. So he is our congressman. We should wish him well. And if he is to be successful, I think it'll be when he's able to stand up to the members, to the leadership of his own party, and I hope he'll do that. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Anybody want to make a suggestion of acclamation?
It's a resolution.
It's a resolution.
Oh, okay. All those in favor can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention, Ms. Coates. And I believe you were going to deliver that, Mr. Baker, to Mr.
Yes.
Mullins. Okay. All right. Thank you. That'll move us to number 12. Number 11. Yes.
Number 11?
Yes.
Okay.
I moved you to, and you're going to take that one.
That's fine.
Okay.
I heard 12, that's why.
Well, I then suggested number 11.
This is a resolution that had a sense of urgency for our environmental program to apply for an EPA grant for $30,000 with no match requirement, and I moved for approval.
Second.
And it's for pesticides.
So we have a motion by Ms. Watts and a second by Mr. Garvin. Questions or comments? All in favor can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Number 12, Mr. Snell, will you take that?
This is a resolution authorizing the Cherokee Nation Environmental Program to submit a formal grant application to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for System Change Network. I move approval.
We have a motion by Mr. Snell and a second by Councilman Byrd. Questions or comments? Yes, Ms. Watts.
Just because it was rushed through, because it had to be from committee to here. It's $160,000 and no match requirement, and it's so that we can share data internally and externally for analysis. Thank you.
All those in favor of Resolution 12 signify by saying, oh, I'm sorry.
I do have a comment on 12.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Lay. We're on number 12.
Okay. Sorry.
Is it 13 that you're wanting? Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Number 12 on our amended agenda. Now, everybody clear? All those in favor of the resolution number 12 can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, now we're moving to number 13 on our amended agenda. That's the wind energy resolution. Mr. Baker, could I have you introduce that?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a resolution allowing the Cherokee Nation to begin the approval processes for leases of land at Chilocco to the Chilocco Wind Park in order to evaluate and develop a wind farm. I make a motion that it be approved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Baker and a second by Mr. Garvin. Questions or comments? Mr. Lay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just believe this is a bad use of our property, of our lands. It's not going to, in the long run, it won't pay off without heavy government assistance. And I don't think this company's got it. It's going to essentially, if they ever get to putting these windmills up, it will run this property. And I can't support it, but I fought these windmills today in committee, so I'll just stop now. Thank you.
Mr. Keener.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can everyone hear me first? Is this working? Can't see.
I can hear you.
Okay, all right, thanks. Didn't sound like it. I would, Sean, I would ask you, I know you don't have control of the CNB board, and I don't know what happened here, but anything of this magnitude, I would really like to see it before, an hour before council, for us to deliberate and discuss and then vote on it. The Ponca Oto Con Pawnee, I don't know what procedure they went through, but I'm guessing they had more than an hour to just look at this and discuss. But that's kind of been a trend, not from you or anyone, just in general, a trend that we get things laid on our desk at the 11th hour. So if you would please try to work on that from as much as you can, that'd be helpful to us too. But I'll vote to support this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And once again, I do offer my apologies that it's my fault as CEO for not getting it to you sooner. And I appreciate your consideration anyway.
Council Lady Fraley.
Sean, I believe in this project, and I think it has merit. But along what he's talking about, I'm unclear of the status of the lease arrangement, the negotiations, particularly since we haven't heard from our real estate professionals. I don't know when they got involved, but will they be involved in the lease provisions and negotiations going forward? I realize we're just approving the lease process at this point.
That is correct, and yes, they will.
They deal with the trust land issues daily, and they also are familiar with dealing with the BIA. So I'm wondering, will they be involved in this?
Absolutely. And, if there's any issue, it won't be closed. If there's any issue with negotiating the leases or the way the leases are worded, then it'll be corrected or it won't be closed
Okay.
to their satisfaction.
See the lease and everything?
Sure, yes.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Council Lady Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm going to vote to support this tonight. We've been at it for some years now, at least during my service on council. But that's under the assumption that everything you've told us is accurate. It's been to the real estate department. The business case worked out. We're not liable for anything financially. There are no lesser prairie chickens in danger. There's no beetles in danger, and the hawks and eagles are safe. Unlike my counterpart, Councilman Lay, I see wind energy as a unique opportunity that we as a government have an obligation to our citizens to provide something better than what we see today. In our backyard, we have a coal-powered plant. We have higher increased incidence and risk of asthma amongst our children and even our adults now. We know from our own air quality data that we need to have alternative fuels that do not churn out so many contaminants that we are creating long-term health problems that we have to address. And I think that wind energy is definitely one of those things, and we're uniquely positioned to have trust property in the wind zone that would actually be able to operate and create wind power enough to make the project work. And to think that it does have to be subsidized, and it does. It's just like every other power industry. Coal still gets subsidies. Gas still gets subsidies. All these things are going. So I applaud you and your team for pursuing this and appreciate all the hard work and hope you've been honest with us, Sean.
Well, I'm always honest with you, Kara. And I do want to commend both Marguerite McKinney, Bill Hill, and Carol Wyatt for a lot of work over the past 10 years to get it to this point. And I think it's something that, as a company, we believe in is good for the nation. And I believe in their hearts they feel the same. And we'll be working with the Attorney General and Ginger in Realty to make sure that it's papered correctly and goes forward as it should.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, Speaker.
Mr. Slayton, I want to apologize for that. You've always been honest with us, and I don't expect anyone on this council to call anybody else's honesty into question. That is totally inappropriate, and I want to apologize from the council for that.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. I've known Kara a long time. We've worked together a long time, and I don't think she meant it in that
I've known
regard
Kara
that.
for a long time. And I know exactly what she meant.
Point of
Mr.
order,
Byrd.
Madam Speaker,
Mr. Byrd,
I don't think there's any Merry Christmas spirit here for sure.
Mr. Byrd, you're next.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I abstained in committee, Sean, as you well know, because of Councilor Keener stated earlier, you dropped this in the 11th hour. I
Absolutely.
understand that.
Yes, sir.
But after visiting with you before the council meeting, I can support it. Council members that have not visited that asset, they're around Chilocco need to do so. It's a very valuable asset that we need to take a look at. So I applaud you for all your work and your staff, what they've done, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anybody else on this side? Ms. Fulbright?
Yes, I think we need to go forward with this. It's clean, unlike the advertisements we see on TV every day advertising clean coal. There's no such thing as clean coal. This is, and I think it's a great opportunity for us, and I support it 100%.
Thank you. Mr. Lay?
I forgot to ask a question in committee. Which portion is, we have fee property out there and we have trust.
Yes.
Which portion is this? Both?
It includes both on the west side. The east side is,
Is it all trust on the east?
pardon,
Is it trust on the east or fee?
most of it's trust, I think. I could be wrong about that, Dick, I'd have to check to be sure. I know both fee and trust are on the east side.
And is it the,
West side was project fee.
the northern portion of that west side is one trust and the southern portion is fee, or can you recall right off there?
The south side is trust.
Trust. Okay. So you're going to put wind turbines on both trust and fee?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, this is a resolution. All those in favor can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Mr. Lay? Okay. I believe the ayes have it then. That is all of our agenda items. Are there any announcements to be made? Yes, Ms.
We'll be having a
Fishenhart.
District 2 council meeting next Monday at 5:30 at the Stillwell Cafeteria, and everybody's invited.
Ms. Fulbright. Oh, I'm sorry.
Can't talk.
Curtis?
We're having a little candidates at the high school cafeteria next Friday night, 21st at 5 o'clock. We're having a Christmas, we're gonna call it Christmas dinner. Everybody, bring your own turkey.
Ms. Fulbright.
Yes, I want to make an announcement. Our clinic administrator from the Redbird Smith Clinic is here, Mr. Jerry Kaufman, and he has invited all of us to attend the Merry Christmas luncheon down there tomorrow, and you don't want to miss it because Elvis is going to be there.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Council Lady Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. All of our students and parents and grandparents who are worried about scholarships, I will be having our annual scholarship presentation on how to find and apply for scholarships outside of the Cherokee Nation on Saturday, January 12th, from 9 a.m. to noon at the Will Rogers Memorial Theater in Claremore, Oklahoma, and you're invited to attend. Thank you.
Mr. Keener.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just like to say, Donnie's to Yohi, huh? Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Speaker, I make
yes.
a motion to adjourn.
Second, a motion and second's been made. All in favor? Aye. All right. Merry Christmas to all.